Okay, welcome to b2p9.com, where you need to be if you want to work some of these problems. And up here's a chat box. You can send me a shout out or talk to me live if I'm on here. We're doing calculus, obviously. We're under limits and doing infinite limits, and this is the section we're in here. So we want to evaluate this limit. It says limit, take the limit as x approaches 10 from the right of 8x over x squared minus 100. So let's move over here. I always forget to erase the board in the previous problem. Alright, let's get this thing written out here. We got the limit as x approaches 10 from the right hand side. We're doing 8x over x squared minus 100. Now, remember, I always say that if you don't know what the graph looks like, you can always do these numerically. Sometimes we actually have to do them numerically when they're right-handed limits or left-handed limits. Once again, it always helps to know what the graph looks like, save you a ton of time. So if we're coming in from the right-hand side, we could find 10.1. We're getting pretty close to 10 there. And you would just put that in and get out the calculator. 10.1 squared minus 100, and see what that value is, and then go and then get a little closer. 10.01, right? Plug that in and take a look at that number. We could also sketch out the graph. Now, it helps to know what are the vertical asymptotes, if there are any, and obviously there are here, because we can plug 10 in the bottom and we get 0. We could also plug negative 10 in the bottom and get 0. Okay, and you can do that by factoring this thing into x minus 10 and x plus 10 and looking at it that way. So we know that negative 10, positive 10 are going to be the two vertical asymptotes of the graph. However, we really are just focused on this particular one here. So we're coming in from this side right here, right? Coming in from 10, approaching 10 from the right hand side. Now the question is, what is this graph doing? Is it coming from up here and going down, or is it coming from down here and going up? And what you can do is you can plug a number in and see if it's positive or negative. If we plug 11 in, we get a positive number in the top. Plug 11 in the bottom, we get a positive number in the bottom. So therefore it's positive. So I'm going to take it that this graph is doing something like this right here. Okay? Which means that as we get closer and closer to 10 coming in from the right, what's happening to the graph? It's going to positive infinity. And we don't care about the rest of it, because that's not what the question asks. It only asks coming in from the right hand side. However, you do need to know how to sketch the rest of this graph out. And we can do things like, for example, where's it cross the y-axis? Well, we could plug 0 in. We get 0 over negative 100, so that's 0. So we know it's crossing there at the origin. We could plug in negative 1. We get a negative in the top. We get a negative in the bottom. So that's positive. So my guess is this graph is doing something like this. And it's probably, if we plug 1 in, 1, we get a negative number. And it's got to be doing something like that. Okay.